an interesting story broke out in, of course, Germany, because where else do most of our bad stories these days come from? Germany, where the German bishops who crow often a lot about the Ted McCarrick problem and the legacy of that problem almost destroyed the faith of many, caused many Catholics to walk away. And the only way that they will come back is if the church does meaningful things to prevent McCarrick-type things from happening ever again. All of that is true, by the way. But the only way to prevent that from happening is for the church to get with the times and to make fundamental reforms. Now, if by all of that they mean not allowing James Martin types into the priesthood, because it's a perfect correlation between those offenses and those kind of priests, and for the church to hold priests to their vows and to have them actually teach the faith, that would be wonderful. But that's not what they mean. You see, in Germany, they want to upend all of the church's teachings on morality of the flesh, and even on marriage, on ordination, everything. They don't like Catholicism much, and then the Catholic Church in Germany wants to abolish Catholicism and replace it with something new. And their mechanism for that is called the new Synodal Way. But there's some really tone-deaf things they're doing in all of this, because their driving point is what I started with when talking about them. They want to see the church's teaching on morality of the flesh upended, while using the McCarrick problem, wicked priests, men who should never have been allowed in the priesthood in the first place, who harmed the most vulnerable in ways we are all too familiar with. They invoke them as their need to change things. And I'm going to show you what apparently their idea of change looks like. This comes from LifeSite News. Got to be careful with this one. Headline: German Archdiocese issues guidelines for teaching about marital things, encouraging the James Martin sin, the confusion about the reality and immutable nature of the flesh, to kids. This is the new German Synodal Way in a nutshell. These bishops are never going to get punished. Francis didn't do it. Judging from Leo's appointments, he's not going to do it either. This story is disheartening. Details, quote, the Archdiocese of Hamburg, Germany, has published new guidelines for education on marital matters, promoting James Martin's sin and the confusion of the flesh. With a new conceptual framework for this kind of education in Catholic schools, the Archdiocese of Hamburg is sending a clear signal in favor of contemporary, value-oriented, and scientifically sound education on these matters, the Archdiocese wrote in its press release. Catholic truth is not the principal guiding light anymore. It is contemporary value-oriented, meaning modern values and scientific claims. That's their guiding light, their guiding principle. Not the scriptures, not the timeless teachings of the church as taught infallibly by the magisterium. Continuing, the guidelines entitled Male, Female, Diverse, Concept Framework for Education of the Flesh at Catholic Schools in the Archdiocese of Hamburg will be binding for all Catholic schools in the diocese. However, the document blatantly contradicts Catholic teaching on ethics of the flesh, promoting the James Martin stuff and the ideology of the flesh, and states that human beings have experiences of the flesh from birth. The aim of the guideline is to empower the most young in education and upbringing to shape their lives with increasing self-determination and personal responsibility with regard to their identity of the flesh and inclinations of the flesh, the document states. Let's pause here again. German bishops have talked about needing essentially to make a new religion based on all the evil deeds done by wicked men who should never have been priests, McCarrick-type deeds, harming the most young. Do they have any idea how bad of a look it is? How utterly horrifying of a look it is to do this? It looks like they're getting ready to serve up the people they're trying to educate to more McCarrick-type priests on a silver platter. We get outraged when this happens in the public schools. Now it's going to happen in your Catholic schools in Germany. If you are watching this from Germany, what is your plan? Just going to go, oh, ho, hum, whatever? You're going to just let your bishops repeat all this nonsense from the secular realm? to your kids. I'm not surprised by this, only because I've been covering the errors of the German church since like 2018. Their Synodal Way is essentially the Synod on Synodality, but going like 200 miles an hour. That's all it is. Famously, all the changes the Germans wanted to make to the faith under Francis told them, wait and do this with the rest of the church. He didn't say don't do it. He said, wait and do this with the rest of the church. We hear a lot about synodality these days. No formal definition, but a lot of talk about how we're going to keep doing the things Francis started with synodality. Keep that in mind. Back to the article, so you can understand what the high source of magisterial authority is in the new synodal church. Quote, the concept states that it draws from findings from the human sciences and modern theology, as well as documents and discussions from the heretical German Synodal Way. The concept of these matters of the flesh used in the guidelines is based on the work of Uwe Sillert, Professor Emeritus of Sciences of the Flesh at Christian Albrechts University in Kiel, who defines all things related to the flesh as general life energy that makes use of the body, is fed from a variety of sources, has many different forms of expression, and is meaningful in many different ways, which is in radical contradiction to the Catholic faith. This is your German bishops, ladies and gentlemen. And they don't get punished for this. They get a little slap on the wrist. Hey, slow down. But they don't get stopped. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. I don't enjoy bringing, bad news about the Pope to people. Not these days. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly does help. Sharing this on social media helps too. Memento says, Cardinal Rainier Marie Welke is the only good cardinal from Germany. Cardinals Casper and Marx are evil. Well, you're forgetting Cardinal Mueller, who is a moderate. He's not as conservative as people think, but he's definitely one of the better ones. You're never going to see him promoting this stuff, at least. Pretty low bar to be a better one these days. All right, folks. Thanks very much for tuning in today. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.